May I speak to you in the name of our Almighty Creator, the one holy and living God. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. What does it take to be happy? What does it take to feel safe and secure? For my great-grandmother, it was self-reliance and good storage space. Growing up in the Great Depression, she was used to never having enough, and that, of course, greatly affected her whole life, and she had a scarcity mindset around money and possessions till the day that she passed. She struggled to get rid of things, believing one day that she would need it again, or that she would find its new purpose. I remember as a middle schooler, when she was moving from her home into a nursing home for more intensive care, we found wads of cash stashed in various places in her house, in her drawers, in between couch cushions, buried in plant pots. My favorite place that we found a wad of cash was wrapped in a plastic bag, frozen inside of an ice cube tray. It is funny, and it is absolutely a little bit ridiculous, and her fear was very real. She was anxious about her future. She was anxious that private banks would take advantage of her. She was anxious that our family couldn't or wouldn't support her in her old age. She was anxious about a lot of things. And so she stored up her money, and she hid it from everyone, even herself. I thought about her a lot this week as I reflected on our readings. In our gospel reading this morning, Jesus is approached by a brother, presumably a younger brother, who is upset that his oldest brother is not sharing the inheritance in a way that he deems fair. And in classic Jesus fashion, he tells a story of a farmer. Some might call this farmer responsible, even wise, for how he handled his possessions. He has a thriving farming business. His land has produced so abundantly that he doesn't have enough storage space. So he tore down barns and built bigger barns with higher interest yields, exactly what the articles my dad sends me says that I should do. He will have ample savings set aside for the future and will be all set to relax and not have to worry, not have to stress. Isn't that what we are encouraged to strive for in our world? Isn't it wise and responsible to plan for the future? He seems to have things figured out. He has worked hard, saved wisely, and has a secure financial future. So why then is the farmer called a fool? It's not just because he's wealthy. At least that's not what's stated in the parable. In Jesus' day, it was the same as in ours, that money is a tool. Money funds, builds, clothes, feeds. Money builds hospitals, houses the unhoused, educates, supports the arts, feeds the hungry. Jesus depended on the money of others to support him and his disciples. Jesus praised Mary of Bethany, who poured expensive perfume on him. And Jesus was buried by Joseph of Arimathea, who was able to pay to place him in his own tomb. The fool's foolishness is not that he is rich. He is foolish because he lives only for himself. The rich man is alone in his world. Did you notice that in this parable, he is the only character? When he speaks, he talks only to himself. And the only person that he refers to is himself. And I think that this is deliberate. What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops. And I will do this. I will say to my soul. He expresses no gratitude for the laborers who planted and harvested his crops, and he erases any thought of family and neighbors that he might have around him. He is the center of his story. He has ignored the ways that others have contributed to the wealth that he claims as a result of his own effort. His focus on storing wealth has separated him from his community. The brother who initially asked Jesus the question desired for the family inheritance to be divided because I think it would have provided him with financial security and independence. But it would also have broken the Israelite tradition of familial responsibility and interdependentness, where the oldest son would take care of the whole family. In the parable itself, the man makes plans for himself, notably including eating and drinking, as though no one else existed. He desired to be secure and happy, and consequently, he is alone. The possessions of both men lay claims on them, greed, as Jesus plainly calls it, not just in the form of concern for themselves, but as a lack of concern for others. He is foolish because he is driven by his desire for personal wealth at the expense of social obligation. He has more grain and goods in storage than he could ever hope to use, yet seems to have no thought of sharing it with others. And this is where Jesus' warning lies. Take care, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Literally, it means something like it is not inherent in someone's surplus that their life is part of their possessions. The parable goes on to illustrate this dramatically, I would say, but the emphasis on what abundance can and cannot do can be missed. The parable is not just saying that life is more than possessions, though that is true. It's also saying that more possessions cannot place one in control of life. How much you have does not help you control your life. So I ask you again, what does it take to be happy? What does it take to be safe and secure? We live in a world, a fallen world, that simultaneously teaches us to buy, and to save. We prove our worth by not only what material possessions we have, but how much money we have to our name. Vanity of vanities. It's emptiness. We are anxious about money, anxious about our jobs, putting the kids through college, the market fluctuations on our 401ks, when the rent will inevitably be increased, how to put food on our table. Like the rich farmer, we are tempted to think that having large amounts of money and possessions stored up will make us secure, will keep us safe in this scary world. And when we don't feel like it's enough, we build bigger and bigger barns, because then we will have security. But that's the trick, because it's not true. I could have preached a sermon all about the sins and violence of wealth. I have, and I likely will again, but I don't think that gets to the core of Jesus' teachings today, and it certainly doesn't get to the core of our fear, this very real fear that many of us have. Our lives and possessions are not our own. We cannot white-knuckle our life, claiming and controlling until we are safe. At some level, we all know our wealth won't save us. We don't take it to us, take it with us, take it to the grave, as our readings remind us. But this is nevertheless the reality that we live in, though this is not how we were meant to live. And maybe, just maybe, This parable challenges us to imagine something more, a different life. What would it be like to live in a world where success is communal, where abundance does not just mean enough and more for you, but rather a sufficient amount to share? But that's a big ask. So for now, I want us to take a deep breath, to validate our fears, but don't let those fears control you like the rich man did. And see that community, not just careful planning and luck, can keep us safe and bring us closer to God. Amen.